Good afternoon to everybody. You see we are still in some preparations. We had planned to do a live demo today, but there are some issues with the internet which we are fighting with right now. We're trying to get it fixed. I first have to prepare something. So what we want to show today is a real-world example of application of IoT technology. Yeah. So what we intend to do today is to demonstrate a real-world example of application of IoT technology in on the example of the wine industry. What the intention is of our solutions is to cover the full producing chain or value chain of food and beverage production, from the pre-agricultural stages over fermentation process, manufacturing process, logistic processes, as well as marketing processes. We cover all this with different items of solutions which we put together in the last 18 months. We sure start with the digital core. Digital core in our case is always either SAP Business by Design as a cloud solution or SAP S/4HANA. It might also be ECC still on premise, but we're talking about digitalization, and so cloud solutions are state of the art now. Everybody's talking about digitalization, but what we see in practice is that in real operations there are many analog touch points still. So data get captured on paper, on Excel sheets before they get punched into the ERP system. And therefore we made use of the new generation of SAPPHIRE i5 applications, and we built a collection of role-based LOB applications to connect shop floor operations to the ERP system, which we call ergonomics. So these are micro apps that can be used easily from people in shop floor to be directly connected to the ERP system. And then we have the IoT integration services, where we put Iot sensors all along this chain, all along this value chain, starting in the agricultural phase. As I said, the fermentation or the processing, the manufacturing, and we go to the end consumer. I show you some examples on that. The next element is that you want to have a tracking and tracing. So the tracking and tracing consists of a core add-on application which we built for the wine industry and runs on the ERP core. And this gets complemented by a blockchain solution in order to integrate the pre-stages and the stages after the production, or after those which are comprised by the ERP system. Then we have a collection of role-based expert applications for which are Industry 4.0 standard. Let me say it this way: things like smart factory, overall efficient equipment efficiency, and these applications will apply machine learning services, advanced analytics services, and things like this. And the last part is the marketing part I mentioned. We have a collection of microservices for digital marketing. I will come up with an example with that later on. So this is the frame for what we will show now and demonstrate now, and have a look over there, whether we have some internet connection or not. So this is what you here see. I mean, this is him. What you see here is an IoT station which we have installed on a vineyard. early summer or early spring this year. This is an actual proof of concept project in the southern parts of Germany, and we will use this to step into the demo. Okay, so that's normal SAP business by design. And we switch to our IoT integration services hub, where we collect all these data from the cloud. So all the data from the IoT sensors in the vineyard, also in manufacturing or in the processing units, they will come up here, and we make these available for other applications, for other they get persistent in other databases, but this is the hub where we collect all this data. This, for example, is actual data from a IoT station we have installed in our lab. I don't know whether we are live, so we have some latency in this, so it gets refreshed every 60 seconds. Yeah? No, okay. Okay, so let's switch to the demo board. So this is what you have seen on the screen there. We have on our demo board, and here are some live IoT sensors, and I hope they work. So for example, just 3 example sensors. Here is a soil moisture sensor. You see it changes, so that's all going to the cloud into the IoT integration hub. This is the ambient light. Okay, so you see they work. So we use the SAP Cloud Platform to collect all this data and connect with the IoT sensors we have in the field. Okay, mach mal weiter. So next point is, how can we make use of this data in the ERP system? You have seen the ergonomics apps, so the SAP UI5 apps I mentioned, and we will follow up a certain scenario. So you are in the wine cellar, you're the cellar master, and the cellar master plans to do enrichment on a certain lot of must, which is stored in a tank. So in order to do this, he goes into one of our UI5 applications. Okay, and before he decides on how he treats this lot, how much he could enrich this lot by adding sugar, he might want to see some data about the fermentation process, how the fermentation process went so far, and to get a clear picture about what this lot is all about. So he can step in IoT data, historical IoT data, which we have stored here. So another point is, you see, this is the fill. You see here's two circles that show the fill level. So this one is the fill level of the tank according to the ledger in the ERP system. So what is the book value of the tank in the so he sees 100%. If the tank really has 100%, is filled up 100%, it's nothing he can do on it. He cannot put any sugar or something other volume on it. So he sees here the actual data, how it is actually according to the IoT measure. So that's I demonstrate that. So you see, so that is what he sees when he is in the shop floor. He sees, so okay, this is the book value and this is the actual value, and we can do this for any other parameters along the whole production process, so that we make it can customize these solutions to any production process in the food industry. Okay, So he now goes back. He now has an idea what to do, and then he has a control and can decide how much sugar per volume he wants to put in. You see this graph. This turns the color from green to yellow to red. This is a functionality which checks the legal requirements. We are talking about wine manufacturing, and wine manufacturing you have some legal requirements what you can do with the wine, how much sugar you can add in this case, and this is a clear indication for the cellar master how much he can put on here. So that's a real world application where you can see that IoT data, live IoT data, historical IoT data can support this process, can make them better decisions and support the whole process. Okay. Prima. So just to wrap up what we have seen. So we collect data along the process, IoT data along the process. We have the ERP system. We have the shop floor application here, which combines the data from the IoT and the ERP system and can also store back IoT data into the ERP system. So that was a real world example how these things can work together and make use of IoT data in this case. Just to see another example what we can make, I mean, collecting IoT data is one thing. The other point is where can I make use of IoT data? And there are so many fields of application to make use of IoT data. I will come with another example. The typical connected bottle scenario, where you remember we are in the vineyard. We collect IoT data. How many hours of sunshine does your wine or this wine lot have? We collect data about the fermentation process. We collect data about the logistic processes, and we combine all this tracking and tracing information along the whole chain with a unique digital ID, which can be used at the end of the day when the end consumer consumes the product, and we can use this information to give him an improved user experience, to make use of this data in my marketing, to make customer engagement, to gain trust with the customer, things of food safety, generating social currency, things like this. So these are a few screenshots how such an end user app could look like. You see, he has a glass of wine on his table, and he can see what actually happened to my food product during the growing phase, during the processing phase, and he can see how many, in this case, how many hours of sunshine, and not only of the whole lot of the area where the wine came from. He can see whether his wine comes from the upper left corner in the vineyard or the corner down there, which is probably near to the lake. In this case, it's exactly near Lake Constance, where you have mist in the morning. So that brings a lot of social currency for the end user, and the perceived product value for the end consumer is much higher when we can supply him with actual dynamical data instead of only static data about what's the terroir, where does the wine come from, and what season was the wine. Okay, so you might have noticed that I put something in here. In order to explain what this is, I have to introduce our next guest. That's Cow Elsa, and this is a biosensor. So before we started the presentation, I tried to find a volunteer from my team to swallow this sensor, but nobody was ready to do this. So this is an actual biosensor which is swallowed by the cow and rests in the cow's stomach over the lifetime and can measure all the data about the cow. So we want to now know how cow Elsa is right now. So we step into the dashboard. Okay. Yeah. So that's the cow's data protection thing. So this is actually the application which the farmer uses to manage his herd, the sanity of his herd, and all things. And we could make a check. Hast du mal Daten? Okay. So you see, I don't know. So okay, so this sensor, we had this sensor in the baggage in the airplane, and you see how your luggage gets treated on the ground. So this is information from this sensor we collected over the SAP Cloud Platform and have used. Okay. So we go back to the SAP Cloud Platform. So you have seen the expert application now for the farmer who manages his herd and his cattle with this application. So he installs the IoT hardware infrastructure for the sake of managing his cattle and his herd. But we also collect this data into the SAP Cloud Platform in order to make them available again in the ERP system along all of this process, to make use of this for marketing reasons, for all this stuff, you know, so that if you talk about meat or milk or dairy products, it's important to know the origin of the product and things like this. Okay, so sieht man? I would now expect to see a graph what happens since I have this in my hand, but if it doesn't work. Okay. Yeah, you see, we put it in the glass with the ice, and then I took it out and it went up in temperature again. Okay, so this is. Okay, yeah. So that was wrong. That was cow Lisa. This is cow Elsa. So that is what happened to the to this sensor. Okay, so that was a real world example how you can make use of IoT data, how you can connect it, what technology we are using for this, for what purpose we collect the data, and I wrap it up. Wir müssen noch mal last slide.
Next slide.
Yeah. So just for wrapping this up, this is the whole scenario. We have been talking about this one. We have been talking about the digital core, connection between digital core IoT infrastructure. We made use of this IoT data with my marketing microservices in my marketing apps, and there's a lot of other application fields or fields of application for IoT data. What we have shown here was a real world example. And we are just running a proof of concept with the customer in Germany at Lake Constance, as I said, in the wine industry. And we are working with other customers on other industries for the time being to make proof of concepts for them as well. Okay, so that was a quick overview of what you can do with IoT in the real world. Questions?
Okay. One thing that we've been looking at is drone integration.
Are you integrating this into drones for applying fertilizers and looking at GIS information?
That's a very good question. That's a very good question. So I'm coming from Europe, and it's not a problem. The question was, can I use this data, the collected data, to use drones for bringing out pesticides and fertilizers and things like this? That sure makes sense. We have the applications. There are the applications to do this, and it's not a big thing to do this. So you can imagine that if you have a vineyard, you might have an area where more sunshine as the other, or more moisture as the other. So you need a different amount of fertilizer in this corner than you need in this corner. And drones are able to apply exact the amount of fertilizer or whatever on each corner of your vineyard or of your field or whatever. The problem in Germany or in Europe is that there is no legislation for this. So it's not allowed to use drones for the time being. I have a meeting with the Minister of Digitalization in Luxembourg next week to talk about this with them. So we expect to have this next year or something. But technically, it's not a problem at all to use this data for this application. Other questions? Okay, so no questions. Thank you very much. Danke.